Afternoon, everybody.
Hey, Coach, we got you.
All right. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. Just recapping, really excited and proud, excited for our guys and of our progress, and proud of our guys for their performance on Saturday. The weather wasn't great, so it was one of those games where physicality and execution were going to have to really be the difference in the game. And it proved to be the case. So, and then after just watching film, evaluating everything, progress in a lot of places, improvement to be made in others, particularly our coverage teams, as you guys probably saw. But the focus immediately turned onto this week's opponent, an excellent football team with just a lot of explosive players, very disruptive on defense, very talented and well coached, and playing with a tremendous edge and energy. So that being said, open to questions.
Start with James Carpia from the Oregonian.
Mario, I wanted to get a status update on several guys. Obviously, Ryan Walk went down with the left knee. Stephen Jones got rolled up on. Want an update on Jackson Powers Johnson, whether or not he'll be available this week. Didn't see Jalen Jeffers travel. Steve Stevens, and I didn't see Jalen Davies travel.
Would you say after Jeffers there again? I'm sorry.
After Jeffers, Steve Stevens, and whether or not he'll be able to come back this week. And Jalen Davies, I didn't see him travel.
Okay, well, the good news on Ryan Walk, it's not as bad as we thought. You always fear, that season-ending injury. It's not season-ending, but it will take 3 to 4 weeks for him to heal up. So we were very happy to receive that news. Jackson Powers Johnson, we feel is ready to roll this week, and he practiced with us yesterday. So the timing of that ends up being good. Stephen Jones is healthy. He's good to go. Just nicked up, the course of the game and the season itself, but he's tough and he's been awesome. Steve Stevens, the injury is a little bit more significant than originally thought, so we're not sure exactly when he is to return. Jalen Jeffers and Jalen Davies was just a numbers thing with so many guys down at different positions. We loaded up on the ones that had some guys who were a little bit nicked up. And with traveling number restrictions when you're on the road and conference play, those guys did not make the trip, but they are still in the 2 deep and also getting reps and got reps yesterday.
Eric Scopel, 247 Sports.
Coach, you mentioned the good timing of Jackson being back, but obviously Alex being back is a huge lift on this line and fits back in at center. Just your assessments of him this last week. Obviously, I think snapping errors or handling errors in wet conditions is always good, and kind of how your confidence with how he's performed since coming back from that injury.
Yeah, he's been chomping at the bit ever since he had the mishap with his back. So stepped right in and picked up where he left off. Was physical, was thorough, was tough. Obviously, not very happy about that. The penalty at the end. A lot of pent up frustration coming out, and we just have to learn that it doesn't matter. Team first. He's smart, teachable moment, learning situation. He's ready to roll. Love him. He's as good as it gets. That guy epitomizes what this football program is about. So happy that he's healthy.
Zach Neal, Ducks Wire.
Coach, you obviously encourage your players to play with a lot of emotion and passion, and in a rivalry game that can sometimes lead to mistakes. How do you feel your players did with that on Saturday?
We did good up until play 72 and 73 on offense. We had one earlier that we're offsetting, but later on, both Alex and Micah just went over the edge. We poured our energy and our passion and any kind of emotion. I don't ever think you should play emotionally. You just don't. You pour your passion and any emotion you have into playing the game, and you want to do it through football, all through football, snap to whistle. Between the lines, that's where the focus has to be. And we had done a pretty good job up until that point. You see several counts where, Jalen Red is getting, I can't emphasize how proud and fired up I am about Jalen Red, because there's so many times where he is just busting his behind, blocking downfield. He's getting shoved in the head, pulled down, yank, face mask. All he does is throw his hands up, penalty on the other team. For the most part, good. And then it got away from us there at the end when we had a chance to really close out the game before having a chance again to close out again at the end. So improvement needs to be made.
Julian Minnesota, KZI.
Mario, you mentioned it in your opening statement, but what makes guys specifically on that Wazoo side, Delora and Borgie, so tough?
well, number one, they're really talented. Secondly, the scheme, veteran offensive line. These guys are as fundamentally and technically sound as you will find. They play physical, hard-nosed, and tough. Their running game, it's if you look at mixed downs, they're 50-50. They run the ball, they get downhill, they get outside. They are hard to tackle because they make you miss, and they run behind their pads, and they run with a lot of power. Explosive guys catch the ball extremely well out of the backfield. And of course, the threat of their passing game is something that is, they're just explosive with the ball in their hands and in the short game and the screen game, as well as running right by you. Double moves built into a lot of stuff, verticals, you name it. They've got a complete team. Really explosive on offense, really explosive and disruptive on defense. So all those things make up for why they have had so much success these last 5 weeks.
Gabriel Marvin, Daily Emerald.
Hey, Coach. Jeffrey Bossa is the only true freshman starting on the defense right now. How has he proven over the course of the season that he is meant to take on this big role that he is right now? And after a huge game, great defensive game like that against the Huskies, how would you like to see Bossa and others get going Saturday against Washington State?
Yeah, well, I think for a guy like Jeffrey, it's all between the ears. The guy he's really, really smart. And when you're recruiting guys, you want to make sure that guys not only understand football, but they understand the things necessary to be done throughout the course of the week, throughout the course of the offseason to be prepared to play. Him playing and being a starter is not a product of the week. It's a product of his arrival in January and his investment ever since then. And when you ask a guy to move from a position which he wanted to play, he wanted to come in as a safety, we brought him in as a safety, and that's what he was playing. And all of a sudden we lose 3-4 guys at linebacker and say, hey, brother, we need some help here, and we think that you can help us. When a guy makes that move and just invests the amount of time to learn that position, I mean, it speaks volumes of him as a competitor, him as a dedicated teammate, a committed teammate. He has learned the physicality, the fits. He understood the passing game already, playing the safety position, playing both boundary and the nickel. So the passing game came naturally to him. Then everything else, was a learning process. And every week got better and better and better. And it culminated in his best performance this last week, and those other guys are doing a great job too. Keith Brown, Nate Hukalani, those guys, Micah Roth, they're all coming along. Jabril McNeil, those guys are coming along really well. So all in all, just really proud of that linebacker group.
Matt Preem, 247 Sports.
Yeah, Mario, I know you're always confident in your players, but are you ever just kind of taken back or just really pleased with how Travis plays? Because every game it feels like he does something that's better than expected and just awe-inspiring. I mean, he was running harder in the fourth quarter than he felt like in the first quarter. Just his importance, and feels like he's maybe the best player in the league right now offensively.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. We think he is that and more, and we think there's more coming from him. I think he took it personally, and I think you guys helped with that when said, well, he's going to be limited with the number of carries. Can he handle the load? Well, maybe you guys should keep questioning him. We'll get some more production out of him. So write that up today and see what he does this, the coming week. So the guy's an ultimate competitor, it's in the family DNA. So the pride that he takes in the course of the week in preparation, and then I wish you could see him behind the scenes as a leader, and the amount of energy and passion generated in the way he addresses, encourages, talks, pushes, and challenges his teammates is really special. And we're getting to enjoy, all the fruits of his labor. So got to keep it going.
Jerry Thompson, Ducks Illustrated.
Yeah, Coach, a little tongue in cheek, but Anthony Brown seems like he's expanded his role physically, like blocking sometimes for Travis. The interception, he goes down and tackles Bruner, the linebacker. Can you just comment on his, and then of course he's running the ball really effectively, taking a lot of punishment. Can you just comment on what kind of person he is or the physicality that he has?
Yeah, well, he's an exceptional competitor. Anthony Brown, I think people don't realize how big he is. He's a big guy. I mean, he's 230 pounds plus. Really hard worker in the weight room. Like, he really invests in his body and his mind. He understands the game. He understands angles, leverages, intent of the play. A lot of times you find quarterbacks that just know the pass concept and kind of where to go with the ball. He'll tell you everything. He'll tell you the protection. He'll tell you the adjustments that the O-line will make, the adjustments of backs, the tight ends would make as well, in protection and their check downs, as well as what the defense is going to do and reacting to it. So because of that, he's able to just be extra, as you saw on Travis's touchdown. He's running right down the field and actually ran right by him, provided a great block down there. So a lot of pride. He just wants his teammates to do really well, and that's what you're witnessing.
Luciano Chantalin, end zoners.
Hey, Coach, what can you tell us about the resilience shown by your team, not only throughout the season by overcoming as many injuries as you have, but also on Saturday with such a dominant win against a divisional rival with that weather and with the way the game started? And how important is it for you as a coach to pass that on to your players?
Well, I think it's something that we're always emphasizing and working. And when you go on the road, you got to understand that when you pack your luggage, your toiletries, your warm-up suit, you better pack your resiliency, and you better pack your toughness, and you better pack your camaraderie and your resiliency to a different level, just because you're going to need, it's going to have to show. In a game like that, I mean, you saw it was coming down sideways, and you're going to have to play a certain way to move the ball and to stop the other team. And, and sometimes more than sometimes, that's more important than the actual play design itself. So it showed up big. We feel that there's a growing momentum in our locker room in terms of what we can overcome and how we can perform. And we just want to continue improving. That's what the team is focused on, being 1-0 in everything we do.
James.
Mario, a couple of things on officiating, one specific and one more broad. I'm not going to revisit every which spot or intentional grounding. We don't have enough time. But on after the Micah face mask, it was announced that it was still first down. The sticks still said it was first down. Right before the snap, it changed to 2nd and 33, which was proper. But did you guys believe it was first down on the play call? And then that prompted the timeout before 3rd and 33. Therefore, that affected the game, the misannouncement, number one. Number two, with that and all of the other things that you can't comment on because of officiating. With what you guys are playing for, what degree of confidence do you have in this conference's officials to be able to handle the magnitude of the games you're playing?
I mean, all these things are the importance of doing things in a timely manner are critical in decision making, because a personal foul during a play is very different than one after the play. And like you mentioned, it changes the down, not the distance, but it certainly changes the play calling and the philosophy behind it. So I don't know where to go in answering that question without creating issues for myself. So I'll stay away from it, but we all feel when you watch film that is intentional grounding, balls on the hash, balls thrown from the hash to nobody, but there are missed calls sometimes and got to roll with it.
Eric Scopel, 247 Sports.
Coach, is there a cumulative effect, I guess, just with Camden? You see him make these kicks so consistently. I think this last one was maybe one of the more impressive based on distance, also based on conditions and kind of what the game means. That just kind of at this point, you feel like anytime you send him out there, it's splitting the uprights. And I guess we'll just ask again, has there been any more progress even in his range? Because I know he talked about into 50. What is kind of that mark for where you feel really comfortable sending him out?
I was tempted there at the end. The thing is that, the negatives outweighed the percentage of the positives, because the wind was strong. It was still raining, like we talked about, sideways. And then longer kicks require lower trajectory. Those are the ones that could get blocked and ricocheted and go the other way. So those are the tough decisions that, you gain 25 yards of field position and an extra 8 seconds off the clock with the defense playing well, or do you roll the dice and try to make it a 2-score game? And he's kicking so well that you have to think about it. There's some other factors that play into it where, we made the decision. I made the decision to do what we did, but there's just ultra confidence in him right now. There really is. And he's shown it, right? 9 for 9. Got to keep working on our kickoffs. I know the wind was really all over the place, but I'm just really proud of him. And we're going to need them. We're going to need them to continue getting better and better.
Julian.
Mario, what's the toughest thing about playing a team after a bye week, specifically this team that's kind of been, this Washington State team's been kind of through a whirlwind over the last few weeks?
Well, I think whirlwinds in football are most of the time good, because you play the sport because you love competition and challenges or whatnot. Throwing a scenario like they've had to deal with a really talented crew of players, a very senior laden team, a lot of guys that have the extra year and super seniors, a really talented coaching staff with a great scheme, and then you add an extra week of preparation to be able to dissect their opponent. So all those factors are things that, they're real, but it starts with what they are and what they've shown on film. And what they've shown on film is they're an excellent football team. This is, for us, and I've been here 5 years, this is as big of a rival as we have, because of the way that these games have gone over the course of the years and the physicality behind these games. So again, I'm not sure if I answered the question, but hopefully I landed in the vicinity of that.
Gabriel.
So, Coach, as your team continues the hunt for the Pac-12 championship, what specifics do you need to improve on for both sides of the ball?
Well, it's everything, really. Starts with block destruction up front, making sure that we can strike blockers, separate, make plays on the ball, gap control, alignments, assignments, eye discipline, eye control, both zone and man coverage, our pressure packages, consistent pressure on the quarterback, work on our man blocks and double teams, both gap and zone schemes, inside, outside, our pin and pull stuff, some of our vertical passing game. I could go on and on. I mean, we're really trying to work on everything. What really stood out really big the other day was our coverage units. We're better than that. And a lot of it was technical and fundamental and just not putting our foot on the gas and going. We got to do that. That's on us. That's on me. And that's on our coaching staff to make sure we get that out of our players, because we're capable and we're really good at that early in the season. So, but lots to improve upon, and we're working hard at it.
Time for two more. Matt.
Yeah, Mario, you've kind of gone through an in-season, or I guess you're replacing Taggart that in your first year in 2017. So you kind of have some, I guess, experience in what Washington State's gone through this season. But can you maybe just explain or put into context how impressive it is that they've gone 4-1 their last 5 games through a coaching change leading up to it, after it? They've won 4 games in a row in conference.
Really impressive, especially against the teams that they have played against, and the way which they have won, the way that they just forced turnovers. I mean, they were at one point, I believe the Arizona State game was 34-7. I mean, in complete control of that game from start to finish against an excellent football team. So just playing with a lot of passion, executing at a high level, because at the end of the day, playing hard is great, but executing and playing hard that's what separates the really good teams from the rest of the pack. And that's what they're doing, so we, nothing but our very best is going to be good enough on Saturday. And we're looking forward to the challenge and the opportunity.
Last question, James.
You touched on this a little bit after the game, Mario, but the defensive improvement statistically in league play has been quite significant. Obviously, having a lot of players back helps in that regard, but you speak to just what the last month in particular has been compared to where you were. If you take out the Ohio State game in particular, get your overall stats take a huge jump. But in league play, total defense, you're second in the league. How have you guys been able to shore that up so quickly?
Well, credit to the coaches and the players working together at it. And as you know, you mentioned it, is when you lose parts, I don't think the outside world really knows how difficult it is when you're limited from what you can call, because 2 or 3 or 4 parts aren't ready to perform at the level that you need them to perform to roll out the playbook and call it and defend things the best way you can. That's real difficult. So as the weeks go on, guys get healthier and other guys actually get better at their positions. Now, all of a sudden, you are able to call and defend things the way that your defense is designed to defend them. And I think that's where the massive jump has taken place. I also I feel that our guys are realizing that when we're focused and locked in with great eye discipline and we throw in the physicality, that we can be really, really good. And that we still need to make massive improvements. There's a lot of meat on the bone left, and our guys know that. They're excited about that. So I think those are some of the factors, but credit all those guys on defense and the coaches, the GAs and the analysts. They're really working hard at it, and they want to be better.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. Have a good day.